Today is June 19, 2021. My name is Enshi. I'm with the Houston Asian American Archive. Today we're interviewing Mei Yiting Lu again for her role as a Buddhist layman. Thank you so much, Mei, for joining us again.
Thank you. Actually, I wouldn't use layman. I probably use one of the volunteers helping at the temple.
And also, can we start by asking about your Buddhist practices and how you became?
Okay. Actually, I came from a very academic family. My parents were college sweethearts. They were devout Christians back then because their university in Shanghai was, how do you say that? 教会大学, how do you say that? Actually, it's sponsored by the first missionary, European or American missionary colleges. So they started being Christian. And during World War II, my father graduated from college, joined the underground, and he was tortured. So they finally went to Chongqing, the war capital, around the almost victory time. He suffered a lot and he struggled a lot and then fled, followed the nationalist government to go to Taiwan. During that time, he had a lot of spiritual struggle. He changed. My mom never changed. My mom is still a devout Christian. He changed, but he never went to Buddhist temple. He shared with me. During that time, my mother was the only one work. My father was bedridden a couple years in Taiwan. He shared with me what is Buddhism. Like you love people unconditionally. You don't judge people. You don't criticize people. You are sinful. Because that makes you more accepting everything gracefully. So I have this deep roots about how to be a Buddhist. But I still went out to church with my mom. So I love all the Christian music. Even to this day, when I listen to the music, I still feel I can visualize the heaven, that kind of feeling. But until I came to the United States, especially moved to Houston, Texas, I have an urge to find my cultural roots when I have my two girls. I feel other than Chinese school, they should know what kind of Asian people believe instead of going to the church automatically. You know, everything is God bless you and your family, your loved ones. Actually, we all should love each other instead of only God bless you. You know, Buddha bless you too. You know, so I finally have the feeling where to find the Buddhist temple. We came the time there was none. And finally in the early or late 70s, right?
Yeah.
Late 70s, we had the first Buddhist temple. That was a traditional southern cottage house, like a ranch house, with a big lot. So they said, oh, this is the temporary Buddhist temple. And I love that monk. That monk told us how did he become a monk. So that's the story I want to share with you. During 1949, the civil war between nationalists and the communists, actually the victims are the civilians. We don't share any political belief. We just want our nation strong again. After the invasion, after the tormented years for so long by invasion of Japanese soldiers, we were ready to just have a peaceful life. Unfortunately, most of the people, especially the southern part of the people, you know, like the people in Beijing, probably they didn't experience civil war, you know, but people in Shanghai, the people in Nanking already feel the air raid and everything. Chinese kill Chinese. My parents were not political at all. They just against Japanese soldiers. But my grandmother, my father's mother, I told you was an ancestor of Zheng Guofan. She was very knowledgeable, even she didn't receive any formal Chinese schooling. She read everyday paper. She told us everybody should go to Taiwan. Actually, my grandfather was dying. She said, I took care of him. Don't worry about me. I will take care until his passing, and I will follow you. He was bonded feet, but he inside was so strong. So all the children of hers, and his, left to Taiwan. My father, my mother were one of them. Actually, his younger brothers, his younger sister, and older sister, and my mom's younger brother all fled to Taiwan. And during that time, a lot of monks were puzzled, didn't know what to do, especially in the Nanjing area. The famous monk now still alive in Taiwan, Xing Yun Fa Shi. Okay, he was from Nanjing. His father was killed during Nanjing Datusa. He and his mother came from the countryside to look for his father, couldn't. And then the mother was devastated. He didn't want to go back. He told his mom, 我要去栖霞山. Do you know 栖霞山 in Nanjing?
Yeah.
Become a monk. He was only 7 or 8 years old. Our monk in Alive area was the same. Like after war, a lot of peasants, children cannot have enough food. So the family said, we have to send some small children to go to the monastery so that they can have good food to be fed. You know, he was one of them. So during this time, the turmoil, how to stay, where to stay, they said there was a general in nationalist government, Sun Lizhen. His wife was a devout Buddhist. She didn't have children, but she was so devout. She went to monastery, said, do you have any monks want to go to Taiwan? We can organize a small troops, like 60 of the monks, to be the soldiers to fight for the communists. Actually, it's not fighting. They are monks. So, Xing Yun Fa Shi and our monk, Jinhai Fa Shi, and also Shen Yan Fa Shi, Fa Gu San, they all were the 60 of them. So they all went to Taiwan. And during the time the general was under house arrest, 60 of them were all put to prison. They were in prisons for a couple of years. And when the prison finally set them free, I think half of them become commoners. Half of them still go back to monastery. So these 3 of them all become big, noble scholars, Buddhist scholars. They went to graduate school. They go to a lot of teaching, like get a teaching certificate. And our monk in Houston, he said, my verbal ability is not that good, but I got a master's degree in Thailand, and I went to Japan to study their Buddhism. Now I think it's about my time to spread some Buddhism in the South, since the West Coast and the East Coast already have so many monks already. So he was here, and now speaking about His Holiness Dalai Lama, we have 2 monks. One is him. Another monk came from Yunnan province in China. During the time 1949 to 1954, during that time, Yunnan was not under very good condition. A lot of people fled from Yunnan to Burma. Because Yunnan, now the country is strong. We know, oh, this part is India, this part is Pakistan, this part is Burma. Back then, I think the border is kind of loose. So this monk, the monk we have now, what is his name? She's young. Jinhai Hong Yi. Hong Yi Fa Si the father was farmer too. Both their parents are farmers. They don't have enough crops, so people told him, "Oh, we farmers, the farming village, we 7 of us all moved to Burma. Back in Burma, actually it's Golden Triangle. Now you know it's Golden Triangle. And that crops, the soil are richer. We can have more crops." So they moved to Burma. Unfortunately, one time, robbers came, killed all the 7 Chinese farmers. So he became an orphan. And they just moved to Burma. The mother was very young. He's the oldest. Another younger brother, younger sister. So the mother said, "How are we going to make a living?" So he tried to sell the Chinese dianxin, dessert, to Burma. It's not going to last long. I'm glad he had an aunt, Gu Gu, the father's sister, already become a nun in Burmese temple. She traveled, during that time, no highway. She traveled 2-3 days, heard about her brother died. She traveled 2-3 days, said, "I can help you. I'll take 3 of them to my nun monastery." But the baby sister, 2 baby, she cannot handle. She's in the late 20s. How can she handle this? So she took the 2 boys to the monastery. But the younger boy, like 2-3-year-old, keep on crying. Oh, the nun said, "You have to send him back." So she had to send him back. Stay, the one is our 法师。我又忘记他的名字。弘毅法师。Actually, he become very capable. He's bilingual now. So when in 1990, the end of 1990, when Dalai Lama won the Peace Prize from Nobel Prize, we were so happy. But back then, we finally had our really Temple Road temple in Houston area. So we need to find a distinguished guest. And I was very courageous. I said, "Why don't we invite the Dalai Lama?" I was told he is coming to United States to give a talk. And guess what? His secretary responded to me and said, "He's coming, but we have to pay the traveling expense, either from DC to Houston round trip or somewhere else, and the room and board." It's really very reasonable. Of course, we say yes. And also we find a lot of sponsors. And back then, Rice has Anne Klein. Do you know Anne Klein? Anne Klein is still teaching at Rice. They have a Jewish group, the Buddhism, and they spend some money. We spend some money, so we organize 3 days service. One day, the big event is here, and then they have special service at Rice and so forth. But during that time, I think it's a big cultural shock from both parties. Dalai Lama never expected a Taiwanese Buddhist temple would invite him. And he never thought Chinese could be like him. So he, deep inside, they have a coffee break. He asked the 2 Buddhist temples, I just said, Hong Yi Fa Si and Jinghai Fa Si, "Where are you from?" Because he could tell right away they're Chinese, also not the northern Chinese, the southern Chinese. He can speak real good Mandarin. He asked them. Our oldest monk, Jinghai Fa Si, said, "I came from China, and during wartime I suffered that. And after internal war, civil war, I fled, followed the nationalist general to Taiwan. And then I was in jail. And then when they set me free, Fortunately, I found a chance to come to the United States. And Hong Yi Fa Sư was even heartbroken during that time. He lost his father for unknown reason. His family broke. The only way he can have food to eat is become a monk. I think for Dalai Lama, he finally realized war is so terrible, not necessarily Chinese. I think he changed. He never say a bad thing about Chinese. Since 1991, he even went to Taiwan several trips. So for me, he is very different because when he gave the talk, he said, so many Chinese here, and I think we all came from Xinjiang. He said, Xinjiang is your monk translate, 就是玄奘嘛. So you all read for me. I love to listen. So we all read Xinjiang. Then several monks, Lama follow him, read Xinjiang in Sanskrit. Later, he was very humble. After he's gone, I think because of him, during the 5 years after he's gone, I have a karma to know so many great Buddhist scholars from Tibet. A couple of them is the teachers of his, Dalai Lama's teacher. I'm pretty sure they all passed away. One came, it's, how do you say, in seclusion. He hasn't seen anybody like for 10 years or 15 years in a cave, and he came back. He was Dalai Lama's, young Dalai Lama's teacher. He came, and we didn't know him. Our temple, a lot of conservative people said, well, Tibet wants to be independent. We don't want to invite him, you know. So Chinese Cultural Center, 侨教中心 invited him. That trip made me change. 我们很害怕，就是他会洒水。The rituals of Tibetans is so different than the Chinese one. I didn't invite my husband to go. I was the one to go. I went, and so many lay Buddhists went, just like your father would be curious to go. We all went. We saw that 他会那个叫什么？不是开示，好像可以点了以后你就会partially enlightened. How do you say that in Chinese? Ask your daddy, okay? At the end, he told us, he said, now is the ceremony, because we are Chinese are very afraid of special ritualist ceremony we didn't know, you know. And he said, this is the ceremony of thinking we have this life to know Guan Yin. You know, for Guan Yin, they really, all money home is asked for Guan Yin's help. But everything is Guan Yin. But I didn't know. I thought he's going to play magic because he's so powerful. He used to teach Dalai Lama. Maybe closing to him, by sitting closing to him, I can get some special talent or special wisdom. It's not. He told us, he said, close your eyes, doing meditation, visualize you are Guan Yin. Well, to this day, I cannot stop crying because I feel he is so kind, encourage us to help others. And after he left, a couple of years later, he passed away. But this is the best experience. Some of the experience is awful. Because Anne Klein knew me, because I came so many times. He said, there's another Tibetan scholars came into a rich family in, North Boulevard, South Boulevard, rich people live. Said he came there, he spent 2-3 days to give your talk. So I drove myself to go. You know, when you were young, you feel you want to learn everything. So I went, boy, that ritual, I couldn't take it. Have so many feathers, and also spreading water and pour one of your hairs. You know, a lot of things I do not know what he talking about. I'm pretty sure it's in Sanskrit. So I was so chicken because they line up. Gradually, it's my turn. I just left. I just try to escape because I don't want to receive anything I do not know. But during that time, I see so many Buddhist scholars from Tibet, from Dhammasola, and also from the United States. United States have so many Buddhist scholars. Majority of them are Jewish. I invite some of them. And there was one of the famous nun. Now she has a big monastery in Seattle. She invited me to be a scholar, to give them a talk at the University of Washington. Like, what is the similarity between psychotherapy and Buddhism? Okay, so many Buddhist scholars during that 10 years. Okay, but other than Dalai Lama and our masters, Xing Yun Fa Shi came. That's what Zhong Mei Si, you know that. But before Zhong Mei Si, I knew him already, because Xing Yun Fa Shi and Jing Hai Fa Shi, remember they were put into the jail, remember? They all came from Nanjing. They speak the same dialect. And Xing Yun Fa Shi has more charisma. You know, in order to have a big organization, you cannot say, I'm introvert. I don't like to talk. You have to be a good speaker. Xing Yun Fa Shi, back then, when he was young, he was very handsome, very tall. You know, when people tall, good looking, and powerful, speak louder, even he speak broken Mandarin, because he speak 是南京话. Because my nanny was Nanjing, so I knew the accent, like 对不起, 对不起, you know, a lot of accent. But he is charmer. He's charmer. He's good, and also he chose a good direction. He went to become a kindergarten teacher for a couple of years. All the kindergarten teachers become the first group of nuns of his Foguangshan. Now they all in charge. So nuns, a lot of nuns in Foguangshan. Okay, another group is Tzu Ji, compassion, kindness, people. That actually I only donate. I think their organization I'm not familiar with. They don't have ritualistic things. They just say 做了就好. But overall, 圣严法师法鼓山，还有星云大师的佛光山，还有慈济 they all came from one master. This master is 印顺，印度的印，顺利的顺。He has been so far one of the best scholars. A lot of people says since 玄奘大师. Okay. He was in jail too in Taiwan. He got back, and also he keep on writing 佛法概论. Okay, they have like an encyclopedia. In my house, I had it. Okay, he make it very simple, let you realize 藏传佛法宗喀巴传下来的，从 ever since 16th century 传下来的格鲁派跟原始的佛法 same， 印顺导师的跟藏传佛法 actually the same. The reason why I love 藏传佛法, I feel the warmth and the compassion, kindness. They practice, 所以慈济 carry this, okay? 星云大师 carry it through education. 圣严法师法鼓山 through theory. Like 圣严大师他也是江浙人，不是南京人，可是是江浙人。 He actually had a lot of things I look up to. He was under kidney dialysis for 20 years in Taiwan. He keep on talking about how to meditate by using like 宗喀巴的藏传佛法跟佛法概论。A lot of people admire him. The business people, the rich people, the powerful people. So he had a lot of kidney transplant situation. Said some people's kidney you can transplant, you can get well. He refused. He said, I done my purpose in life. I have finished. I don't need to survive. Let the good kidney help the good people, the younger people. So he died in young age. But after his death, he showed people how to die. He didn't like 中台禅师那么大的一个漂亮的庙。He doesn't want it. He says, spray my ashes in all the flowers, all the trees. We don't want personal worshiping. That's a true Buddhism. So I really suggest a lot of people to, if you become a Buddhist, you don't have to give up your religions. Religions are religions. Buddhism is let you follow what in life. You want to see the picture?
Yeah.
I'll be happy to explain to you.
Sure. Can you tell us a little bit more about Yufo for the sake of the audience? We didn't introduce the name Yufo, which is
Okay. We have several Buddhist temples now in Houston area. Jay Buddha Temple happened to be developed in 1990 to 1991. And then 20 years later, we have a Bodhi Center. You know the Bodhi Center, do you? 500 acres in Hampstead. And we have a meditation room, but the 450 acres saved for animal conservation. Okay? But other than Jay Buddha Temple, we have an English service and everything. There is 中台禅师. They teach you how to meditate. And they have SLP, standardized step 1, 2, 3. And then how do you practice? Since the pandemic, they even have Zoom every week. Even the master, the practice meditation master will say, you doze off because they can see everyone through Zoom. Okay, so 中台禅师还有慈济，还有Vietnamese, Thailand, Cambodia, Burmese. I was told Burmese temple was the only one had more than 1,000 congregation members. So we have all kinds of Asian new immigrant temple. The Vietnamese Buddhist temple, very close to Jay Buddha Temple, they are so cute. They came to our temple and said, you don't mind we copy you. So they more or less completely copy ours, Jay Buddha Temple. Okay. But so far as American Buddhist temple, I do not know that many. But I know there are so many meditation small groups. Okay.
And what is demographics like in these? Are they mostly Chinese? You said,
demographic kind. English service, of course, is it's mixed. Okay. Yeah. I'm not that involved anymore because of my age. But other than that, 10 years ago, I even still went to the English service. Back then, there was a lay Buddhist. The husband and wife are the chief of Houston Hospice in Medical Center. They even adopted a Chinese orphan. So they do practice so good.
How big is the Chinese Buddhist community?
You know, it's hard to say it. I think it's not like Christian. Christian is like, because when I saw patients in my clinic, I will ask them, which denomination you're from. This is a very big stuff because they belong to Lutheran, Southern Baptist, or so and so. It's very different view of life in a way, okay? And they all have to go to church every Sunday. If they don't go to church, you are not a good Christian. But in Buddhism, you don't have to go. Or you can go every day. So, but you have to practice. You have to think about it. You cannot have like I hold a grudge on certain kind of people. This is bad. So it's hard to say. But original founding member to this day, I would say 700 to 1,000. A lot of people came and said, I want to set a special shrine to my parents since the parents passed away. Or something like 药师佛的那个. I never did this kind of thing. But a lot of people do. So it's hard to calculate how many. But you can tell some of the Buddhist wedding, like one black person, one white person came to the temple. And this kind of thing, it's very common. We don't count them, they are Buddhists or not.
Yeah. And in terms of the size of the among all these temples, which one is the biggest?
I think it's ours.
Each
Yeah,
of us.
high ceiling. Let me show it to you. I hope they didn't. See, we are greeting Dalai Lama. You know, we take pictures. I hope you take a picture of the inside. This is the inside closer range. This is Dalai Lama. 这是我们的和尚，你看。这个就是你看，这个就是 how many people. This J Buddha is from Shanghai. Somebody donated. A Hong Kong monk donated. You know, in Buddhism, we don't say, so and so's church is not true Christian, or why don't you come to our church? In Buddhism, if you change into Tibetan Buddhism, we are happy for you. Okay, every road go the same way to Rome. So we are happy for you. We don't worry about it. For instance, like my two daughters, they are almost 50 now. One is going to be 50 next month. We better give her a present. But anyway, they don't eat red meat to this day. I eat because I more or less tell them how to enjoy life. Life is so precious. Even my granddaughter, who goes to Yale, she told me, Nai, the reason why we don't eat mammals, because mammals have feelings. Okay, these things I feel very heartwarming. I feel very good. For me, they are Buddhists. They care about life. Every life is precious.
And what kind of roles do the temples play? Like you mentioned, they had weddings besides.
Funerals.
Yeah, weddings and funerals.
菩提中心还有一个百灵骨塔的还有 training，还有 lessons。Every Saturday they still talk about 印顺导师那个 encyclopedia 的佛法概论，每一天都提我。I told them I'm about the oldest one. I cannot keep up with you. Starting 7:30 to 10:30 is my bedtime. You know, elderly sleep early, so they still doing that in Zoom. Okay, that's the volunteer. That's me.
Oh, that's you again.
Yeah.
And your daughter?
Yeah, my younger daughter.
And Mr. Lu?
Yes. That's about the only photo album I have it, the whole thing with Dalai Lama. But otherwise, a lot of photo album with monks, different monks, okay? And another monks in American Buddhism, you probably need to tape that too. It's 宣化，宣 is 宣传的宣，化是化学的化哈。He was a monk, had the first monastery in Northern California. All his pupils were Americans, mixed. American, different ethnicity. Even to this date, they still give lectures. He passed away a long time. Even to this day, if you use YouTube, said Buddhism in America, you see the American faith, that's his students. Xuan Hua Sang. He came and he saw me as an MC. He practically talked to me through phone for many, many years, called my clinic, asked me to go to Northern California. He originally came from China, Taiwan, then Northern California.
When Dalai Lama came,
He was not here.
He
passed-
gave Dalai Lama.
对啊，当然不是宣化上人。
我知道 Dalai Lama came here to our temple and gave speech for 2 days, and she was the translator
I was
Oh,
a
wow.
translator.
That's
for
amazing.
both days. It's not easy because I cannot do that for sure.
But when I was younger, see, I always try to be low key
Oh, that,
because ever since I listened to that lecture, I realized just try to change your heart.
this is you with the red
Yes.
flower, and this is Dalai Lama. Can you talk a little bit about the connections between your temple and other like religious organizations, like interreligious
Oh,
relationships?
they are very active in the interfaith. You know, here they have interfaith organization.
Yeah.
My husband one time was the volunteer to join the meeting. Finally, he saw one of the doctor in the interfaith. He said, I realized nobody tried to share the goodness of other people. They all try to convince mine is the best. So he lost interest. He said, that really made me feel a little bit disappointed too.
But you grew up in an interfaith family.
Yes.
Like your parents.
To the end, even to the end.
Oh.
My mother and father all their cremated ashes because I was the only child. I promised them I will let them closer to me. My mother has lived in Southern California for about 30, 40 years. So she asked her pastor, would that be okay if I go to Houston next to Bodhi Center with my husband? The pastor said, go right ahead, always next to your family. So I cremated her with her 50-year-old Bible. She was very devoted. My father was not that devoted, but he did so many good things. Like we came from National Taiwan University. We celebrated 2016 for my 50-year reunion in Taida, National Taiwan University. We had a huge stadium. More than 1,000 people went. All were my classmates. That's okay. But one lady tried to search me. She finally approached me. We took a picture together. She told me, did your daddy tell you? My family was so poor. He paid for my 4-year tuition and everything, living costs. My father never said a word. Even to this day, I do not know her name. My father did so many good things. He just practiced. And also he had a heated debate with the Christian. He said, why you want to go to church, to go to heaven? If heaven is crowded, I'd rather go to because there is a 地藏王菩萨. He made a vow, if 地狱怎么讲?
Hell.
If hell is now empty, he'd rather stay with the people in hell.
Yeah. I remember that.
You received some preaching from your father, huh?
Just here and there. Not precisely preaching, I would call them.
We don't force people to have any religion. Any other question?
Plus the heaven and hell, I don't believe it. This is just to make normal, regular people,
Encourage
them
to be good.
to do good things.
And also to express love. Yeah, like somebody has serious illness, you come to visit them. You said God is always with you, so you're so kind. He will protect you. It's warm feeling. I care for you. This kind of thing, A lot of missionary Christians are so good. When I was in the college, one of my professors was a missionary, 3 generations in China. He was an old man, fled from mainland to Taiwan to teach me. Every time I came to visit him, when I was in 40s, he was still alive. He always said, you don't mind if I pray? He prayed in Chinese because he was born in Suzhou. He will pray in Chinese. He will say, my student so-and-so. He remembered me, the name. And she will go back to the United States. Which state? Please God, bless her safety. This kind of soothing, loving voice, I will always cherish. So I think being a religious person is not bad.
Can you talk a little bit about how you kind of intertwined therapy and your Buddhist practices?
Play no judgment. Play no judgment and believe in yin yuan. In English, some people translate yin yuan like chance of encounter. Everybody came to this state, not only genetics, also a lot of childhood. How do parents raise you? And what relationship-wise, marriage counseling, I always started, how did you two meet? Because if they quarrel so much, they've been tormented through this argument. But if you say, how did you two meet? If they can loosen up, say, oh, that time when I saw her, she was the prettiest girl in the whole campus. There is hope. There's still some good karma there. If somebody told you, oh, we were college sweethearts, I asked the wife, how did you meet? She burst into tears. Bad memory. There's not that much hope. See, so you use a lot of things everything comes with a reason. Try to accept them. Don't change them. Let them develop their own strength.
Yeah.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, totally. And besides marriage counseling, do you do also like
Family,
yeah.
like sibling rivalries or parental skills or 2-generation relationship? You see a lot of things like the parents, for instance, very much emphasize like you have to marry this kind of person. There is something back then they learn from their childhood, okay? And also, for instance, like I received a parents counseling. The mother told me, the daughter, you can never marry the Chinese from farming village. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
就是不能嫁娶农村的人啊。I said, why? We Chinese, we coming from a farming country. Remember back 5,000 years ago, majority of the people are farmers. Why farming country? Because they said the farming country people come to the city. They want to stay. They're very aggressive and this kind of thing. A lot of it is because their cultural background. You try to understand them. Then you try to help them to resolve.
And moving on, do you think we can talk a little bit about the financial donations and how the temple sustains itself? I remember you talked about during sponsoring Dalai Lama's trip here, everyone kind of shared their parts.
To tell you the truth, I am one of the most generous person. I never ask other people. I never ask other people. I'm pretty sure everybody think like me. But I based on my own experiences, American people, you should be more straightforward. Like you register to Dalai Lama's talk, each person is $100, okay? And it's for registration, and they will understand you have to pay 100. But for Chinese people, I think they know. But it's amazing because I went to Taiwan 1 year, 环岛旅行 by tour, by a traveling tour, and the guy told us to go to 高雄佛光山、中台禅寺. I never went, so I went and encountered with several groups of Chinese tours, and they are very curious. They went to the 香火 donation box. Someone said, "Oh, it's real money." They didn't expect people donate. Okay, I think. Being religious, being spiritual, needs some training.
Yeah, I just add something. I was a psychiatrist until practiced the psychiatry until about 2 years ago, and she was a psychologist, and her major is seeing patients with family problems.
Yeah.
And so she has written 6-7 books in that field.
Yeah.
And she can do better than I am.
No. 源流杂志社 you know the 金庸所有的书，博洋所有的书，我就是那个 publisher。我等一下会带你到楼上，我有一个小礼物要送你。没有很小的礼物，不是钱的。所以我说，其实so many things was fascinating because Dalai Lama using the Tibetan ritual. We never thought it's like completely lie down. For Chinese Buddhism, it's not like this. But I think you mentioned about the donation. Donation part is Buddhism never encouraged it how much. But in 1997, before 1997, I went to many monasteries in China. Back then, I went with monks. So I see monks and exchange monks. And that time was very pure Buddhism. After that, I was told a lot of Buddhist temples now in China become very commercialized. Like you have to give so much money for doing that or that. Before that, I never touched that, so I didn't know. This religious service actually is mixed too. A lot of Americans too.